Why do you want to become a doctor? This is a question that has, I've had to think about my entire life.
Who am I? Who am I?
A little toast to who I am. Yeah, champagne for my real friends, and real pain for my sham friends. Until the day me and the earth blend, I don't regret a single second. Hey.
Why do you want to become a doctor? This is a question that has, I've had to think about my entire life. I've literally wanted to become a doctor since the age of 5. I tell people this and they sort of don't believe me, but anybody who's known me since, let's say, the oldest friends I have are, say, mid-elementary school, grade 5, and they will tell you, anybody who knows me really well, that's all I ever talked about. That's all I ever wanted. It's the only reason I cared about grades. It's the only reason I sort of cared about school, even though I hated school very much. Sunday evening was like the worst for me. I dreaded going to school on Monday. I dreaded September when school started. In fact, now it's August, and I still honestly have post-traumatic stress syndrome from that. I still get the butterflies in my stomach when September comes. No joke. People think I'm nuts, but it's true. I really do. I dread September. I still feel like school's about to start, and that I don't know if that'll ever probably go away, but it was a means to an end. I knew it had to be done. I knew there was a certain path, and I knew I had to take that path, and I knew it would take a long time, and I did it, and I achieved it. And I'm filming this video in two ways. One, so that you can sort of get to know me a little bit better and know more why I'm doing what I'm doing and why I want to try and get my knowledge out there in hopes that it could add value to somebody. And two, hopefully to inspire you or someone you know or anybody, just somebody, just one person is enough for me to just understand what they mean when they say, don't give up, consistency, hard work, all these sort of like hashtags that are thrown around. I want to tell you sort of my story about what that really meant. When I was younger, I had these like sort of half cousins, and I mean I still have them, but they're doctors, and every chance I got, every single time I saw them, I would always ask them, how did you get into medical school? It was always about getting into medical school when I was younger. How did you get in? How did you get such high grades? When I thought it was just virtually impossible. Imagine a situation, if you care about grades, if you don't care about grades, it doesn't matter, but just in context, I think it'll still help you, is that, you have to imagine you go in to write that exam, and, if there's 50 questions, let's say, on a test or an exam, and you just get 10 questions wrong, that already brings you to 80%. That's hard. If you want to get that 90%, it's even less. And when you think of all the tests, all the assignments, all the exams, and then year after year after year, just leading up to the application process to medical school, let alone then writing the MCAT if you're going the traditional way, or even just, for me, we didn't have an MCAT for naturopathic medicine, but, there was an interview process, and it's rigorous, and it really gets to you, and you want to give up, and you just don't want to do it anymore, and you think, why am I doing this? But when you are so passionate about that end goal, when that's all you want, when you want to achieve something, staying in the race is more important than being the best at it right now. It's a marathon. It is a marathon, not a race, and that's also thrown around. A lot of these things are thrown around, but staying in the race is more important than being the best in the moment, so that you could be the best that you could possibly be in the long run. That's the goal. The goal is for you to be the best version of you that you can, and that's a larger story. That's over a long period of time. That doesn't mean you need to be the number one student for that exam or that class or even that year. You just have to stay in the game. You need to stay in the race, and that's true of anything, whether it comes to for sports, business, relationships. You got to stay in the game. Divorce rates are through the roof. Why? Because people leave the game. You don't need to necessarily be the best husband in the world or the best wife in the world or whatever. But you need to be there. You need to, gruel it out and fight for what you want. And fighting sometimes, in fact, not sometimes, most of the time, I believe, is staying. That's what fighting is. It's staying the course. You know, the Olympics, a shining example, right? That guy who finishes last, but they finished the race, that's a huge accomplishment. Okay, so he didn't win gold, he didn't win silver, he didn't win bronze, but he won two. You know, so, and there's many different versions of winning. So, you know, aim for the stars and hopefully hit the stars. But for me, I've wanted it ever since I was 5. And my parents, I was so lucky, you know, to have such amazing parents who really gave me a choice at such an early age. They said, literally, you know, you could be anything you want. If you want to pick up somebody else's garbage, you can do that. If you want to do hard labor and build things, maybe you genuinely love building things, you can, but it's going to be hard. You're going to be labor. You know, maybe that's for you and maybe it's not. Maybe you're not the kind of guy who's going to want to lift heavy things and use your hands and come home all, you know, greasy and, like get your hands dirty type of a job. You know, maybe that's just not for you, and definitely that's not for me. You know, I have a hard time mowing the lawn. I have a hard time changing a light bulb. Other people love it. You know, they love these do-it-yourself projects, but that's not me. Or, you know, if you want to help people, you could do that, and that's what really resonated with me. I wanted to help people, and that's such a simple answer. It's such an honest, innocent sort of answer that would never be good enough for the actual interview process. And when I told my parents that I wanted to help people, and then they said, well, you know, going into medicine is probably a great option for you then if you want to help people. And they explained why, and you get to be a doctor and this and that. But when I told them that I wanted to help people, they literally told me, they said, well, I got to tell you, it's highly competitive. Everybody wants to get in. It's an amazing profession. It's very, very difficult to get in. And in about, you know, let's say 20 years, when you finally get amazing grades and you've chosen which university you want to go to, and you achieve the grades there, and you apply to medical school, and you finally get an interview after that long marathon, they're going to ask you this question. They're going to sit there and they're going to ask you as a panel, why do you want to become a doctor? And you can't just say you want to help people, because that's what everybody's going to say. You're going to need a much, much better answer. You're going to need to think about an answer that's going to give you a competitive edge over everybody else. And so I had the next 20 years of my life to really think about that and what I would say. And so I posed the question for you. Why do you want to do whatever it is that you want to do? Why do you want to become a doctor? Why do you want to become a blank? It's a really, really good question to really analyze and sit there. And I think at the very end of the day, if I asked most of you why you wanted to do what you wanted to do, the answer probably is very, very simple. It is, isn't it? It's very simple. It's the only answer there ever was, the simple answer. There is no other answer. It's really just a mirage to help you get that message across to somebody who might not see it as clearly as you. But at the end of the day, that really is the honest, best answer there is. And what I wanted to do in this storytelling sort of video is sort of bring you context to what that actually meant and what actually led up to that moment and just how difficult that was and why, what it really means not to give up. Not giving up in your dream doesn't mean just sitting there and still dreaming about it. You know, that's like winning the lottery. I have a ticket in my pocket too, you know, and I could just sit there for the week and dream about it. And I could, you know, not let go of that dream and just hope that I'm going to win that lottery or hope that I'm going to become so-and-so or somebody. Very different. And many of you know that, but many people don't. And it's the day-to-day activity that really makes the biggest difference. And that's what made the biggest difference to me. It's not enough to tell somebody, well, you got to get good grades, or you got to do well in school, or you got to put forth the effort. The real story is you got to do all that, but you got to do it every single day. When you get up Monday and you go to class and you're exhausted and you're zoning out half the day, and then you get home and you want to take a nap and you don't want to do anything, you might have to do your homework. Unless you're the kind of person that absorbed everything in class, then you don't have to do anything. You absorbed everything, you learned it, and that's the end of it. But if you're like me and that doesn't happen, then you got to go home and you got to do your homework. What does that mean? Well, you got to practice. If it's math, you got to do those problems over and over and over and over and over again, so that when the test comes, you've seen that problem 1,000 times, and then you finally remember to do that. And if you're like me, you'll do it 1,000 times, and then the exam will come, and you'll be faced with the exact same problem, and you'll think, holy crap, I don't know how to do this. I don't remember how to do this. Not all of our minds work the same way. You know, not every problem, not every question on a test or exam comes as easy to some of us as other people. And for me, it didn't. It never came easy. I remember I had in high school, I was taking calculus and I was getting a C throughout the year. And I needed that A. I needed it because I knew that when it came time to apply to university and to get into science, you needed that straight A average. You needed it. You just couldn't get in without it. And there was tons of competition. So you need, I think the admission requirement might have been a B or a B plus, but with so many people applying, you're not going to get in with a B or a B plus, probably. So you have to get that A. Well, what does that mean? You can't get a C in one class and bring your whole average down and then you won't get in. Many might say, who cares? Well, you don't care because maybe you don't care about grades. But if you care about the end result, if you care about your goal, whatever that goal is. For me, it was to get into a university in science and then apply to medical school later on. There was no other choice. I needed to get it. That C couldn't make that happen. So that C was standing in my way. Well, I got mentorship. So after school, after a long day of me zoning in and out, meditating in class, not paying attention, staring a hole through my teacher during class. After class, I had to go and get help. Miss Middlemiss, by the way, amazing, amazing teacher in my hometown of Newmarket. She helped me out. She stayed with me, and I turned that A+. I ended up achieving an 82. So I flunked a few, or maybe not flunked, but I did very, very poorly on a few tests, maybe one exam. But then the rest of the year, I just jacked up the marks, and it was all because of that extra help. She pointed out certain things that I didn't see in class. That one-on-one, that's what I needed for that particular class, for that particular year to get over that one hurdle. That's just one. So all of those evenings, day after day after day after day, when you think of, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, them competing each other, not knowing how many jump shots the other person was going to practice. And this is something, I think it was mentioned on Gary Vee the other day. I can't remember now. But this is mentioned all the time. And I've seen many documentaries on these guys where they would wonder about the other person. If this guy's going to be taking 3,000 jump shots and I'm going to take 4,000, you're wondering about the competition. You're wondering what it takes. You really just don't know. So you have to try and do the best that you can and then some. But every single day, and even when you have bad days or you feel like there's no way that you're going to accomplish it, you somehow get through it. And the next day you try your best anyway because you still don't know where you're going to land. It's kind of like see you at the finish line. So you get a bad exam, you get depressed, you go home and you don't even want to study for the next exam. What do? There's no point. Why would you even study for the next one when the last one was so bad you're not going to get that grade anyway? Because you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen. You got to get through it. You got to do it. And this is the same philosophy, that same ideology, that the idea of effort. Remember those independent study units in school? I'm talking early elementary school. Everybody's done them. Independent study projects, independent study units, ISU, ISP, whatever. These were the assignments that were worth the most out of any assignment for I think in English, let's say, right? Grade 6, grade 7, grade 8. And even in high school, you had one assignment that was worth like 20%, 25% of your total mark. So that was the largest assignment, required a ton of effort. If you wanted to do well in the class, you had to do well in that assignment. Most of you probably remember that. Well, that required a ton of work, a ton of effort. And if you look at grade 7, grade 8 students who are getting A's, you'll be amazed now as an adult to see exactly how much effort and how much work they put into it. That type of effort is lost in business, is lost in relationships, is lost in the adult world. You suddenly become an adult and you look around and you realize people don't put that kind of effort into the things that they do anymore. So what happened? Why? I mean, we get inundated, but we forget that achievement is largely due to effort over a long period of time. That's just the formula. It just is in everything. When you look at all these motivational speakers, athletes, any business mentor, why are they always recycling the same piece of information over and over and over and over again? In fact, they do it so often that you think they're not really providing any value. It's the opposite. They're providing you the only value that really matters, which is the one thing that nobody's really doing, or very few people are doing, which is effort over a long period of time, regardless, period, end of story. And that's something I really want to stress through my story, because that's exactly what I did and I achieved it. And that's it. I literally wake up every morning now knowing that I've achieved that goal. And that's huge satisfaction to me on a personal level. And I hope that you have that in your life. And I hope if you're looking to achieve something in your life that you will end up doing that. And I promise you that staying the course and putting that effort every single day, good days or bad days. You do your best, you get up, you do it again and again and again and again, over and over and over, and over a period of years. It's almost anticlimactic when you achieve it. When I ended up getting my diploma, when finishing the naturopathic doctor program, it was anticlimactic. I just sort of like woke up that morning and I thought, like I did it. There weren't fireworks going off in the sky. There wasn't a green light. There wasn't confetti falling down saying, congratulations, Rob, you did it. It was really just me, myself, and I, with the quiet satisfaction, that deep soul satisfying satisfaction that only I and I alone could truly appreciate. And I thought to myself, holy shit, you effing did it. That's what I thought. That's exactly what I thought. And then the real learning began. And that's exactly what ended up happening. The real learning just began after that. And I'm still learning every single day, and I'm loving it. And I love the natural health industry so much. But that's sort of my story, and that's what happened. I went through those classes. Imagine it's test after test after test, exam after exam after exam. Everything from growing up, friends, going out, avoiding things like drugs or any other distractions that might come in your way, which are, constant distractions, every single day distractions. Saving up, working at Walmart, starting at minimum wage, $6.85, starting there and having a 50 cents raise every year, working on the weekends, 3-4 days a week, and then all summer. And I'm not even complaining because people have it so much worse. And that's the other side of it. Gratitude. Gratitude is so important. With all of these challenges that we have, these are such first world problems. We have it so easy. So easy we have it. The fact that we even have this opportunity to try to be the best that we can be. There are so many people in the world who have no hope in hell of ever being the best that they could be, ever, in a million years, with a million pounds of effort. We do, you do, and I did, and I do, and I was able to do it, and day in, day out, year after year, this is the message. And, that's why when I look at that Michael Jordan photo there of the slam dunk competition, it's such an incredible reminder to me of all that he probably had to go through just to reach that point, early on in his career when he won that slam dunk competition, let alone winning the 7 championships. And wait, was it 7 or 6? I can't remember now. 6? I think it's 6 championships, right? Ooh, I think it's 6. 3 before he retired, and then he went off to baseball, and then 3 again. And let alone now running Jordan, right, his brand, and it's like $1 billion business. That day in, day out consistency, whether it's in sports, whether it's in relationships, whether it's in anything you do, it really is over a long period of time. All those chores, all those tasks, that mentality of that entrepreneurial mentality is the mentality that you'll need to succeed in absolutely everything you do. I was asking my dad what he was doing this week, and he said, well, I'm working. I need to prepare. He manufactures and designs his own costume jewelry, and then they sell it to the all over Ontario. They're going to be doing the CNE actually, so you'll see my parents there. It's called Neely, and they've been doing the CNE. I think this is their 21st or 22nd year. Sorry, I got to work. I got to create. I got to produce. This is one of the many tasks that I got to do in order to create the end product, and then the hard work begins because then I have to sell it all day, for a 14-hour day. That's the mentality that it takes. That really literally is what it takes. And so if I could say one thing to my younger self when I was grilling my cousins about how they got the grades that they did, I would have just told myself to shut up. They're not going to give me the right advice anyway, because the advice that they gave me was, we just worked really hard. Well, at the time I thought that was really crappy advice, and it was, it was crappy on them because they didn't really elaborate what that really meant to a 10-year-old who really had no clue. They should have given me much better advice. Shame on them. But it really means putting the effort day in and day out. When you think a task is not important, it is important. Wax on, wax off, right? That is exactly what it takes. So That's basically it. I started when I was 5 years old, probably because of Star Trek. I think it's Doc McCoy who really kind of inspired me. Damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not a mechanic. He knew what he wanted to do. He knew he wanted to help people, and that sort of resonated with me at an early age. And my father also. I wanted to heal my father. My father had he had a love for basketball. He loved basketball, and all of a sudden, when he was a little bit older, he had a lateral movement gone wrong, and he had a torn meniscus, and he had orthoscopic surgery. They really botched it. The doctors told him that probably he would never run again. He most certainly couldn't ever play basketball again. He does jog every once in a while, starting, stopping, but he can't play basketball. He could take a couple of shots and he could do a few layups, but any more than that, he starts having knee pain the next day. And growing up, I grew up with the idea that I was going to become an orthopedic surgeon and fix whatever damage they did, and that was literally the driving force. So when it was a matter of helping people, it was really a matter of helping my father. But then working at Walmart, I met people, those door greeters that you meet. When you walk into Walmarts or any kind of store where they greet you at the door and it's somebody with what they call life experience, right? Somebody who's older, they greet you. I had an opportunity to sit down with those people and hear their stories and hear what suffering with diabetes and hypertension, heart disease really meant, chronic disease, people whose spouses had Alzheimer's disease, experiencing my own grandparents and what they went through, seeing that day in and day out fueled, it just made it that much more important to say, it was selfish for me not to do this now. I had to go out there and try and do the best that I could so that I can make the biggest difference I can. And you can't save everybody and you can't save the world, but you could damn well try your very best. And if you can improve the life of even one person, you do change the world. You change the world for that one person. And that's in many different things, not just in medicine. You could change the world for someone, in as much as just a nice gesture to somebody. That could make a huge difference in a person's life. So you don't have to be a doctor to be able to do that. You just need to be a great human being. Being a great human being is being a great human being. That's it. And you can make a world of a difference. And I think for me, that's exactly what did it. Diabetes is not what people think. People get a diagnosis with type 2 diabetes. Type 1 is when your pancreas doesn't produce insulin anymore, right? So you take insulin. Type 2 is where insulin doesn't work as well. And that's why you take drugs that help insulin to actually respond better. The receptors, where insulin binds, they work better. It's called insulin sensitivity. You want to improve insulin sensitivity, which, by the way, exercise improves insulin sensitivity. That's one thing that really does it. That's something that nobody really wants to do. They want to try every supplement under the earth. They want to take any pill or any drug that the doctor recommends because they think that's the easy way out. Well, actually, exercise is the easy way out. That's by far the easy way out, and people should realize that. They should, if they want the easy way out with the best results and the least amount of side effects, exercise, for God's sake. You got to get out there. You got to push yourself a little bit. Diabetes is not what people think. People think they just get a diagnosis, they take a couple of drugs, and they're going to live decades longer. But what they don't realize is that as it progresses, you go blind. It's gruesome. You literally go blind. My grandfather went blind in one eye. I know, I've seen it. That's something nobody talks about. If you have diabetes or you know somebody who does diabetes, they deserve to be scared out of their minds. They need to understand that it's going to get worse. And this is, again, where I think having some passion and enthusiasm to help people change their lives and change perspective can go a long way, but it's the ins and outs. It's not so easy, right? Even knowing these consequences, it's so tough. And if you want to achieve health goals, it's what you're doing every single day. It's saying no to the Chinese food. It's saying no to the pizza. It's saying no to quick meals or just quick fixes. It's saying yes to things that are hard, like meal prep and going for that jog or working out or meditating or whatever it is that you have to do to be your best self. And that's not just in health, that's in other things. If you know somebody with diabetes who's, they lose circulation, they have debilitating nerve pain, they have a limb amputated. Have you ever known somebody like that? Because I have. I've known many, and it's very, very serious. And, if people want real results in anything that they do, there's not one thing that you could do in health, in relationships, in business, in anything where you can just do really, really well at one thing for a very short period of time and achieve it. It just doesn't happen. It's over a long period of time. And when it came down to that interview and they asked me, why do you want to become a doctor? And I had a long-winded answer prepared. In fact, I had many really, really well thought out answers. It took me 20 years and I really, really thought it out. This is what I actually told them. I literally went through the story of what I just told you now, except probably a little bit shorter because I didn't have as much time or freedom. But I told them about the people that I met and how I tried to refine my answer, and about how when it really came down to it, even though I know that helping people is really the simple answer, it's helping people with dedication, hard work, and enough enthusiasm and passion to last the long haul. And that's something that I really wanted to bring to the surrounding communities. That was literally the simple answer that I gave to the naturopathic school that ended up giving me my shot to get into the school. And then the hard work began for 4 years, 4 grueling, grueling years, and 2 license exams, and failures after failure after failure, until I finally got the hell out of that school. I graduated, I got my diploma, and it was like the happiest day of my life, only to realize that then the real learning was just beginning. As much as I learned from mentors at school and my fellow compadres, I suddenly realized how really little I learned. So that's really the end of this video. And I just want to leave it with you that if there's anything you want to accomplish in life, it really is over the long haul. I wrote a book. I have it a digital. It's pretty much complete. I edited it twice as best as I could. It's jam-packed with what I think is the best that I've been able to learn so far over the last 10 years within the natural health industry. It's on chronic disease. The growing title is Health or Healthy. That's the growing title right now, the going title. And I've decided that I'm going to start pumping out the content from that book for free on this channel, video after video, as long as it takes, as much as I could possibly put out from this book, and even other things that I've learned beyond the book. I'm just going to pump out video after video after video for as long as I can to try and build as much awareness with respect to chronic disease and natural health, and hopefully included this type of experiential motivation so that not only hopefully I can help positively influence somebody else, but as a constant reminder for myself. I'm really actually doing it for myself too. And that's what I'm going to do. And so if this is valuable to you or anybody else you know, or you want to give me feedback of my book, I know this is going to be a long journey. It's not going to be something that happens overnight. I want to get it published, probably self-published, and then to the hands of anybody who could benefit from it. I'm thinking maybe, I don't know, maybe a 2-year period to build an audience of maybe 10 or 20,000 people. That's my goal. Or enough people that I can really influence so that it's worthwhile to actually get physical copies and then test the waters. I'm hoping you guys can help me with the process, everything from the content to the order to the cover to everything over the next few years. This is what I'm going to be working towards. And so if you guys want to help me out, if you want to be a fellow compadre and really, really, truly help out and we can help each other out and continue to add value to each other back and forth, I really, really look forward to this. This is going to be a journey in of itself, full of the same type of ups and downs and failures and successes, and I love every minute of it. So I look forward to it. Have a wonderful day out there, and we'll be in touch soon. Cheers.
Yo, I live by the grace of God, or whoever's in position to let a hustler live his hard. And those cops must be God, passing me 8 times they missing a step. I eat properly, my health getting better from them, not stressing me. My daughters are happy, I have fulfilled my destiny. But then a catch-22 shit start testing me. Money and freedom, the thin line is sharp and ugly. Who am I if I ain't a good father? But then again, I'm hope if I ain't in the streets harder. The pressure to get my gun to bark louder. How else they gonna fall? I gotta get smarter. And I